Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. If you enjoy spooky stories and eerie tales, you're in the right place. Sit back, relax, and let's dive into today's stories. Hope you enjoy. The title of this story is My Wife Stepped on Something in the Lake. The next day, they found a body. A few years ago, when my daughter was a toddler, my wife and I used to take her to a nearby lake to picnic, swim, and just unwind. It was a peaceful spot, quiet, not too crowded, the kind of place where you could easily forget about the world for a while. One afternoon, after we'd finished eating, my wife decided to go for a quick swim while I stayed on the beach with our daughter. I watched her wade out into the water, the sun sparkling off the surface. A minute later, she suddenly stopped and turned to me, shouting something. At first, I couldn't make out what she said, but her expression was off. Then I heard her clearly. I think I just stepped on someone's face. I froze for a second, thinking maybe she was joking, but the look on her face wasn't playful. It was pale, almost terrified. She quickly started making her way back to the shore, her legs moving faster, like she couldn't get out of the water fast enough. When she got back to me, she was visibly shaken. She said that while she was swimming, her foot brushed against something soft. And at first, she thought it was a rock or a weird patch of seaweed. But when she pressed her foot down, she felt the unmistakable shape of a face beneath the water, a nose, an eye socket. She swore she felt the hollow of the eye. I considered going in to check it out, but something stopped me. The unease in my gut, maybe. We decided to pack up and leave right after that. The next day, the local news reported that a young boy who had been missing for days was found drowned in that same lake, not far from where we had been. He'd been there the whole time, just beneath the surface. To this day, my wife is convinced she stepped on his face. The title of this story is Not My Mother. So this story happened about 11 years ago. I was a senior in high school at the time. But it is the single, most mind-boggling thing that I have ever experienced. It's also important to note that it happened in mid-December. I am from Iowa, and the winters here get cold at night. Like if you get stuck outside, you will die kinda cold. That plus, the snowfall makes everything dead silent. You can hear anything and everything inside the house, and even immediately outside of it. Well, me and my best friend were hanging out in my family's walkout basement, just having a boring winter night playing video games. We were also the only ones home. The reason it was just us is because my mother went from work straight to a bar to grab a few drinks with coworkers. So me and my friend thought it would be a good idea to break into the family wine and live a little. As we were sitting there opening up the first bottle, I hear the door to the garage open and slam shut. I immediately go, oh shit, and start looking for places to hide the bottle. My friend then says, I thought you said your mom was supposed to be out all night. She was, I replied. I then heard a few heavy stomps and hear my mother yell out, Meow, Senboo. Anyone home? I yell back up the stairs, Yup, just hanging out in the basement. I hear a few more steps move from the garage door towards the stairs, and she yells out again, Can you come help me with something? I need you up here. I reply back while frantically trying to find a good place to hide the wine bottle. Yup, give me just a minute. Then there was silence for about 20 seconds. Anyone down there with you? She yelled back in a more concerned, serious tone, in a voice that was slightly off of my mother's. This was the first thing that told me something wasn't right. Our family never cared if anyone was over, as our house was a very open house to all family and friends. And the voice, it was just wrong, like it sounded like my mother's, but it was missing something that I couldn't out my finger on. Weirded out, I reply back, just Colton. After I yelled that back to her, I found a good place to hide the bottle and began walking up the steps to the next level. Now, as I was walking up the steps, I couldn't help but feel the overbearing silence of the house and the slight electric twinge that something isn't right. When I got to the top of the steps, I look over to where the door to garage is and also the kitchen. Right next to it, and it's black. Pitch black. All of the lights were off, and there was no moonlight shining through any windows. I walked over to the kitchen, yelling out, "Mom, where are you?" There was no reply, just silence and darkness. I feel the electric twinge turn into full needles and my adrenaline kicking in full force. I have to get out of here as fast as possible. My mother was not home. I run back down the stairs, grabbing my coat along the way. "What's wrong?" Colton says. "My mom's not home." I reply as fast as I can, looking for my truck keys. "What do you mean?" "You were just talking with her." I could see the confusion in his face. "There's no one home. We need to leave now." I took a few steps towards the back door that opens up to the yard, and then I see my dog shaking on the couch and my cat growling behind it. I couldn't leave them. I just knew that if we left, something would happen. "Are we leaving?" Colton said, still confused as all hell. "No, I can't leave them here alone. Something is really off. I'm going to call my mom and figure this out." I pull out my phone and call my mom. She picks up immediately. "Meow, Zenbu. What's going on?" She answers. "Mom, were you just home? I heard you yelling for me from the second level, and when I went up you weren't there," I said frantically, hoping that she was playing a joke. "No, I'm just leaving the bar. I wasn't feeling very well." "Are you okay?" "What do you mean you heard me?" I fill her in on the whole story and she rushes home. Colton and I stayed in the basement with the animals until she got home. But before she did, you could hear something upstairs. Not walking or sitting on things, but a pressure in the air. Like a black hole was slowly moving from one room to the next. And the word that I would instinctively describe it as is hungry. When she got home, you could feel the thing leave just as quick as it came, like an overbearing, predatory presence had just flown away. We still have never figured out what the hell was going on, and this is just one story of many unexplainable things that have happened to us. But this is the easiest to write down, and one that I was happy to have a witness. My mother has passed away now, and I have moved away to Arizona. But whenever I go back to Iowa and I see Colton, he still gets creeped out by what had happened. I will never truly know what happened, but I know that whatever it was that had my mother's voice, it was evil, and it was hungry. The title of this story is My Friend Has a Skinwalker in His Woods. So I never thought I'd have my fears of supernatural things come true, but it happened nonetheless. I have a friend we will be referred to as D, and I will be C. My friend, D, lives in a place where there are no neighbors, and he said there are skinwalkers haunting the woods surrounding his house. Even his mom and his whole family believes it. The first day we were there, we were training outside for first day I was there. That night we were outside at around 10 p.m., taking the trash out. We were talking and stuff, when I heard something snap, followed by something falling. It was fall, and I heard the leaves as it fell. When I looked up at the hill I heard it at, around 10 feet away from me, and D was a creature. A pale white and skinny creature getting up from the leaves and dislocating its own shoulder blades. I was petrified. It stared at me for 5 solid seconds before I used all the cardio training I've been doing and sprinted to the house. D just stared at it. The following day, we found a booby trap that was set to trip. An animal was broken. The trap was 2 feet away from where I saw it. The second night, it was late and we were both in D's room. We heard a screech, a non-animal, non-human screech that sent shivers down my spine. He had seen this and said, "Do not be afraid. It feeds on fear." I had tried to stay calm. On the third and final day, afternoon, we were out and going to where he had claimed there was a weird portal area that is connected to the Skinwalker. Once we had arrived, it was blocked off by trees. We were weirded out and looked at each other. Everything went silent. The trees whines, the cats outside, even the leaves falling. And then I saw it in the distance. We had both been creeped out, and I just stared back. Me and him still talk about what we saw when I was there. Me and him love that. I'm going to get a ghillie suit, and when I can visit again, I'll be in those woods looking for it. The title of this story is Man in the Woods. During my teen years, back in my hometown, there was an area called Hamlands. People would usually come here for campfires and walk their dogs, but there's also a sinister side to it. It's a common place for nudists in the summer. I remember a boy telling me about seeing a nude man riding a bike towards him, and him having to run away, but I brushed it off as it was my go-to hangout spot with my friends. So, on a summer day, me and my friends decided to go into the woods, set up a picnic blanket, and smoke a spliff. Everything was going fine until my other friends decided to leave to go get some food from Tesco. Once they left, I noticed clothes hanging on trees. Then I saw a man crouching watching us, me and my friend who stayed at the picnic blanket. I turn around and tell her, and the moment I turn back there is a 6', butt-naked man, holding a metal pipe in his hand, walking right towards us, only 4 meters away. Me and this girl grabbed our bag and picnic blanket and sprinted into what I thought was a path, which was now overgrown by thorns. We ended up having to push through these thorns and even walk straight through a bee's nest to get away from this man. Luckily, we had a picnic blanket avoid any bad cuts or stings, but still came out with a couple scratches. To this day, I still wonder what would have happened and what his intentions were. How long was he watching us? What did he want to do? If he had been running, there would have been no way of escaping. That's it for today's stories. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.